Welcome back to the Growth Catalyst Hub. In our channel, we look at how you can grow very fast in your corporate life, professional life, in your company, in your job, and how do you turbocharge your career by upgrading on specific skills which are very, very essential and important to you. Now, in this video, we are going to look at how can you and what are the things that you should do to convince somebody who looks completely unconvinced about whatever you say. A lot of times we get into arguments. A lot of times it is a business situation, negotiation situation, projects and deals are being made, and you sense that the other party is completely unconvinced. What do you do? It could be a simple situation in your day-to-day life. You are having a conversation with your friend, and you sense that he is not convinced about whatever you are saying. What do you do? And we come across situations like this day after day, every single time. And there are many, many situations in corporate life and professional life and negotiations and dealings and so on and so forth. And we come across situations like, what do I do to convince this fellow? How do I convince this person? How do I convince her? How do I convince him? All of these are questions that we typically, repeatedly bounce upon, come upon. And we need to have a way of dealing with these people. We need to have a way of dealing with the situation so that we are able to convince the other party, so that we are able to go from no to yes. That's what we are going to see. Let's jump in. Number one is what is called as establishing common ground. When there is no common ground, there is no commonality between you and me. I'm not going to listen to you at all. I'm going to be completely shut down. And that's the last thing that you want if you want to convince me. So, one of the great negotiating tactics, one of the great ways of opening up the conversation, opening up a way to talk to the person who seems to have stopped listening to you is to establish that both you and that other party are looking at the same set of goals, same common ground. It's called establishing common ground. So suppose you are in a business dealing and you are talking about a project and you are looking at how to go about a project and the other person is not even listening to you. No, 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 this is not going to work. What do? You take a step back and look at, okay, my friend, I and you, we are both looking at this common goal. This is what we are running towards. And I want to reach the same goal that you want to reach. We are both batting on the same side. We are looking at and where we are disagreeing is probably on how to get this done. Is it clear? Are we agreeing on that? And if the common goal is the same and the common ground is the same, and if you are establishing that in this right manner, then the other party is most probably saying, yes, you are right. I am also running towards that goal. You are also running towards the goal. So there is common ground here. When you are able to establish this, you have crossed over half the problem and you can lick the other half very, very easily. Number two is active listening, empathetic listening. A lot of times we listen only to respond. A lot of time I'm listening to you. In my mind, I'm actively constructing, oh, this person is saying this, I should say A, B, C, D. This person is saying B, I should say C, D, E. That is what is running in my mind. And because I'm listening to what I should be constructing as arguments for your points, I miss half the points. And that leads to a very bad situation. So instead of that, if you actively, with empathy, listen to what the person is actually saying, then you will be able to pick up the cue as to where the person is coming from, why the person is saying what the person is saying. And many times you can actually say simple things like, yes, I can understand what you're saying. I want to understand a little more. What makes you say that? What are your experiences, your background, your context, which makes you say that? Can you elaborate on that? When people listen to these words, they stop and they start talking about why they are making the point. And that background gives you phenomenal amount of information for you to understand, appreciate, and look at, okay, these are the drivers of why this person is saying. These are the key reasons of why this person is pushing for this particular point. When you're able to appreciate that, you can offer better counter arguments. You can offer better ways of dealing with the situation, which will carry the situation forward, not backward. Third strategy in convincing people is emotion. All decisions are emotional. We rationalize almost all our decisions, but the decision itself is being made emotionally. Remember that always. All decisions, however big, however small, are all made emotionally. That's proven time and time again and absolute fact. Therefore, what is it that you should do? A lot of times we appeal to logic. A lot of times we put facts and figures. A lot of put we try to be rational and convince through the rationality, forgetting that emotions drive the decisions. You might have looked at the facts and figures saying that millions of people in Africa are going hungry and therefore African aid, please donate. Nothing gets donated. That is why you will see advertisements like this, which is asking for donations, not talking about facts and figures of how many people are going hungry, how many millions are going hungry. They talk about one person going hungry. They will say that, oh, meet Melissa. She is 6 years old. She hasn't eaten in the last 3 days. She lives in Africa. This is the country she is living in. Can you make this small donation as charity so that the 6 year old Melissa eats properly? That moves people, not the facts and figures. Facts and figures come and rest in some corner of our mind. But what really moves to action is the emotion, not the millions, just the one person, the photograph, kid going hungry for 3 days. And that pulls a string in our heart, makes us open our wallet, makes us make the donation. Remember, this is what all charity organizations have learned over a period of time, and that is a lesson that we can take from this act. What is the lesson? Emotions drive decisions, and if emotions drive decisions, are you using emotions in your discussions, in your arguments? Think about it. Use emotions, use them tactfully so that you appeal to the emotion of the person along with facts and figures so that the emotions drive decisions and the facts and figures help the person rationalize the decision being taken. Good point. As a continuation of the last point, where you are appealing to emotions, but you also need to give facts and figures so that the person can rationalize the decision being taken with proper facts and figures. What are proper facts and figures? That's the point that we are now talking about. What are those? They should be coming from credible sources. They should be citable. They should be something that people should be able to look up for themselves. So if you say that, boss, I think we should go for mixed way of working. We should have 2 days of working from home, 3 days of coming to office because Harvard Business Review says so. And this is the article. Now, because HBR is such a trusted source for top management and because HBR or equivalent journal is carrying such a reputed research, then your argument gets a lot more weight towards it. So think about it. Keep your facts and figures ready and ensure that those facts and figures come not from some fictitious sources or some sources which are unknown, but come from sources which are reputed, believable, and trusted. And quoting those facts and figures are the best ways to help the person rationalize the decision, which is emotionally driven. The fifth one is being patient and respectful. A lot of times, especially critical decisions, don't happen immediately. However emotional the decision is, people still want to think about it. People still want to sleep on it. And if you force the decision, they back away very fast. When people see that somebody is forcing the decision, they are worried about the quality of the decision being made. So a lot of times, the best tactic is to leave it on the table, ask the person to sleep on it, ask the person to take time to think about it and come back the next day, come back the next week, so that the decision can be made at at the pace by the person who is going to make the decision. And a lot of times you need to give that space, give that time. So ensure that when you talk about the decision, you may say that, I know it's an important decision. I know you need to think about it. Please do think about it. Please do take your time. If you want any more facts and figures, if you want any more backup understanding on this, if you want any more clarification, I'm here. You can call me anytime. But take your time. We can discuss maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, whenever you are ready. When you give that space, when you are respectful to the person, so that the person can take the time to think about it and take the call, life becomes much easier for the person taking the call, and therefore the decisions also become better and a lot of times become favorable just because you are giving that space and time for the person. The next tactic is all about questioning. Sometimes you can keep on arguing till cows come home and nothing is going to change their mind. What might change their mind is asking simple questions of, have you seen any examples of this happening? For example, somebody is saying that having we are having lots and lots of meetings and we're not being productive at all. So all meetings should be banned in the company. Suppose somebody is arguing very fervently for this. What do you do? So you ask them in terms of how else will they conduct their life? How else will the discussions be made? How else can people be made to come back on the same point? Males, how effective they are in terms of showing and eloquently articulating in terms of the emotional side of the points to be made, and how well the males be able to do justice when a lot of people don't have time to go through all the points in the mail. When you ask all of these questions, that makes them reevaluate their position and relook at what they are making as points. When people start reevaluating their positions, it is much easier, much easier to convince them. But the first step towards that is to make them reevaluate their position and questioning them. A lot of time, what is called as a Socratic questioning is a very helpful tool in terms of relook at, reevaluate their position and what they are talking. Many times, the simplest way of convincing somebody else is to detail out what is in it for them. When you make that clear, people are convinced. A lot of times, people worry about you taking benefit instead of they taking benefit. But if you are able to outline very clearly what is in it for them, then they get convinced very fast. Salespeople, great salespeople use this tactic. Great salespeople don't sell features. Great salespeople sell benefits. If I'm a great salesperson, I'm not going to talk about my bike has this BHP, this revving, this torque, this, that. No, I'm not going to sell my features. I'm going to talk about how you would look great along with your girlfriend on this bike when you go on the highway. I'm going to paint a vivid picture of how you are going to feel when you are going to use my bike. And that is what the benefit, what is in it for you. So selling is not about selling the features. And a lot of time we sell our points, we sell our argument, we sell our thought process to others. And it's all selling and negotiation in a manner of speaking. So when you look at it, if you're able to paint a vivid picture of how it would be using this product, how it would be using this service, what is in it for that other party, then you are on way to convince them very easy. Last point that I want to make is when you want to convince the other person needs to feel safe. Giving them time, which we talked about a couple of points before, is all about giving them space so that it is a low pressure environment. They don't feel pressure, they don't feel undue pressure to take a call immediately. When they feel that undue pressure, it makes them stop from taking the call. So when you say that there's no pressure, there's no urgency, you don't have to take the call now. You don't have to take the call like this. And you are doing it because it is going to be helpful for you. You are going to do this because these are the things in it for you. But whatever said, you don't have to take the call now. Think about it, be at peace, and whatever clarification you need, you can ask me. But you take the call at your own pace, no pressure. You can do it in a relaxed fashion. When you create things like that, when you create a low pressure environment like that, when you remove the pressure from the table, it makes very easy for the other person to get convinced. Sometimes the negotiation is all about creating a pressure. This is a very different tactic, very different situation altogether. We will talk about it in a different manner, different place. But most of the time, convincing people, especially in corporate life, is all about giving that space, giving the time so that they can think about it, they can come back at their own pace. So when you create a no pressure or a low pressure environment, which helps people to think about it, which helps people think about, yes, I'm not being put under undue pressure. This person is giving me logic. This person is showing what is in it for me, what is in it for the organization, and therefore I can take the call. When they feel safe about taking the call, they take the right call. This is what you want them to do. We talked about 8 different techniques of how you can make to go a person from no to yes, how to convince a person who looks completely unconvinced. There are different ways that we looked at. There is a practice set that I've given in this YouTube link. It is available in the description. You can download, you can start practicing. No amount of watching this video is going to help you unless you practice this in your mind, in the corporate life, in the day-to-day life. When you start practicing more and more of it, you get more and more benefit, and it will not come easily. It will come very easily the more you practice.